Hello, it's time for another episode of Discipleship Today. My name is Pastor Bob Benson. I'm using the book of John kind of as a guideline for discipleship. I've used it quite a bit, and today we're going to focus on chapter 2 of John. We have to know a little background. John was that beloved disciple of Jesus. They had a special relationship, and out of that, John records about 80% of what's recorded in John is new material. It's not the same as Matthew, Mark, and Luke. The synoptic gospels, John is a little bit different. And he comes at it from a completely different perspective. He was trying to portray Jesus as deity. That was the whole purpose that he wrote this, so that we would believe in him as the true Son of God. He was trying to show his messiahship. So as we begin today, we're going to begin in chapter 2. I'm going to read 12 verses 1 through 12. On the third day, there was a wedding at Cana in Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. Jesus also invited to the wedding his disciples. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, what does that have to do with me? My hour is not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Do whatever he tells you." Now there were 6 stone water jars that were there for the Jewish rites of purification, each holding 20 or 30 gallons. Jesus said to the servants, "Fill the jars with water," and they filled them to the brim. And he said to them, "Now draw some out and take it to the master of the feast." So they took it. When the master of the feast tasted the water, now become wine, and he did not know where it came from, though the servants who had drawn the water knew, the master of the feast called to the bridegroom and said to him, "Everyone serves the good wine first, and then when the people have drunk freely, then the poor wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." This is the first of the signs Jesus did at Cana in Galilee, and manifested his glory, and his disciples believed in him. After this, he went to Capernaum with his mother and his brothers and his disciples, and they stayed there for a few days. Here, I know that we've all heard sermons about this, the first miracle in Jesus' ministry, and I'm not going to dwell too much on it, other than to say, I think sometimes we miss an understanding here about these water jars. These were stone-cut water jars, very expensive, and they said that they were for the Jewish rites of purification. Now, these 6 stone water jars holding 20 to 30 gallons were used specifically to be filled with living water, moving water. And then they would be poured into a mikveh. A mikveh was a bathtub type thing where you would walk down some stairs and you would immerse yourself. You would baptize yourself. And the Jews, the Levites, had to do that on a regular basis to make sure that they were clean in their service for God. And those are the jars that we're talking about, these very special jars that were specifically for that purpose. They weren't supposed to be used for any other purpose. And I think that's really interesting that these things that have been set aside for sacred work, Jesus used for an everyday miracle of provision. And I think sometimes we get thinking that sacred things shouldn't be used every day. And Jesus breaks that whole thing down. We are supposed to use sacred things every day as we live life with people to show them Jesus Christ and our faith in God. And in our discipleship, we need to do that. We need to live life with other people. It's not about getting into the book. It's not about making sure that we've memorized 20 verses today. But it is about living it out. And we've got to live it out as we walk in life with other people, encouraging each other. And that's been my heart, because I've had so many people walk alongside me and say, "I want to encourage you in the path, the direction that you're headed. As you follow God, let me encourage you." And that's what we all have to do. Let's encourage each other as we walk this thing out. For Discipleship Today, there's another section of John that we've covered. Let's make it applicable and share it with others around us. Thank you again.